It has been said, evil prevails when good men fail to act. In 1999, East Timor was gripped with anarchy, bloodshed and total destruction. The next hour is dedicated to the New Zealand peacekeeping force who faced that evil and gave the people of East Timor a chance to rebuild their lives in peace. Truly, job well done.
What were your impressions when you first arrived?
Total devastation. Place in flames, billowing smoke, the town of Dili empty, destruction everywhere, and an eerie emptiness. Some soldiers, maybe a few militia who were starting to think twice about what they'd been doing. But that was my initial impression, and I hadn't seen anything like that before, and I never want to see it again.
Where is your house, Manuel?
Yeah.
Where is your house? Dili?
Dili.
Is it burned?
Yes.
Destroyed?
Yeah.
In September of 2000, a troupe of New Zealand talent and a doco crew went to East Timor to entertain the troops. What we discovered changed our lives.
The things we saw just were, it just wasn't the sanitised stuff that they get on television where the presenter is trying to be the star of the show, which is the way it goes, you know, oh, here I am here now and I'm doing this. It's just sanitised. That's not what we saw at all.
Radar and Ewan, two of the original crew, will revisit this ravaged country and, as you too will see, discovered the truly wonderful job the Kiwis in uniform have done.
With your professional skill as soldiers and with your consideration for these people of East Timor, you will make a magnificent contribution. No person in this world could see that haka without knowing that the Maori warrior, the New Zealand soldier, is among them. I salute you, I welcome you to East Timor, I welcome you to the force. Good on you, New Zealand.
I smuggled myself up in February 2000, and then it was very basic. As they say, the soldiers keep going on about it, there weren't very many people around. There were a few people coming back to the markets, and there was certainly more than there was. But I always remember when I arrived, it was like stepping onto the set of a Vietnam War movie. Getting off the plane, the soldiers, the forklifts, the searing hot tarmac, and then driving through town and into Dili the first time. And just the smell, you could still smell the smoke. And everything was gutted. Everything was gutted. Dili was very, very basic. People were living under canvas, walking the streets. There was nothing for people to do. You know, a lot of unemployment because as people would come back, there was no work, there was no infrastructure. There's a lot of hope with they just changed over from Interfet to Untaiet. There was a lot of hope that the UN were going to give people work, but you know, there was just a lot of standing round. What was the weeks prior to that, the build up to that, the decision making to send troops in? How was that?
Well, we were mirroring the United Nations process towards a resolution, as a coalition of the willing was formed amongst those countries which felt they were able to put troops in pretty quickly. And of course Australia and New Zealand were two of those.
Peacekeeping force came and brought again hope, because in our first meeting around the territory, around the country, people were asking how far we can get again a new violence. It was already like a trauma, a generalized trauma. From 74, 75. After that, in many occasions, 99. It is why people feel that the future was not so certain. they felt that even they do something, they build a house or do something, a few years later it can be burned. And the peacekeeping force, they played a very, very important role to maintain the sense, to maintain and to recover, our people recover the sense of security. It was very, very important.
When I came off the boat in Bat 1, we were driving these vehicles off the heavy landing craft down at the beach, and there was basically nothing around. There's absolutely nothing there. Piles of ash from what was huts, no dogs, no people, no nothing. And driving up to what the FOB now, or the camp here, whichever it is now, there was absolutely nothing around. And then we went out to Suwai and what have you. Again, nothing, everything's gutted. Nobody anywhere to be seen.
I'm on the Silili checkpoint. My job here is to provide security for the refugees as they cross the border. These last two,
there are a couple in the pink shirt.
We are currently in the business of securing the environment so that East Timorese, either located here in East Timor at the moment, or indeed as refugees in the West, can return to their homes and their villages and take up normal life again. And we are providing intimate support to the humanitarian effort that is going on in this area. That means that our soldiers are deployed out in various locations throughout the southwest of East Timor, conducting patrolling, conducting an interface with the local population and assisting where they can, and providing that secure feeling that we all deserve.
Okay, geographically I've got an area of operations which is 1,200 square kilometres. It's got a coastal plain which has got a main supply route where I've got two companies on that coastal plain, which has got my C-pod, which is where I get my rations and logistics support over the shore. It's got an A-pod, which is an airstrip which can take up to a C-130, which I can get my air resupply on, and it's also got a junction point Foxtrot, which is where the majority of the refugees, we've had 34,000 refugees cross over that junction point in the last 10 months. This part of the AO is probably the poorest because it's an island within an island, and in the rainy season when we first arrived here in June, it rained for 35 days continuously, which meant that the roads were down, the C-pod, so there was no resupply over the beach, so we had to be resupplied by air.
When you first flew in the first time, what did you think when you flew into
I didn't know what to expect the first time we went there. I knew that it was East Timor. I knew that it was a war-torn area. I didn't really know what to expect when we went there. But my thoughts on the place were the devastation. Is just, all the buildings were burnt out, no roofs, no windows, no people. I was quite blown away the first time. I think the first time really affected me a lot more than the second, because I don't think anybody can prepare themselves for that sort of stuff, especially a civilian.
It's my second tour to Timor. I came over first in 2000 on Bat 2, and I was actually here when you guys came up and performed up in Lolotoi and around Suwa. It's based off Delta Company, and we're actually on operation when you guys turned up. With both of you guys turned up. I remember your radar with Mike King, and it was actually quite an experience back then.
The reaction to Leonard Manning's death was one of, in terms of professional approach, was one of increased determination and increased focus. Up until that point, the battalion, I believe, had been functioning appropriately. and in a focused manner. I thought they were probably at high gear, if you want to use that analogy. When Leonard died, the gear stepped up, based on the fact that the threat was real. But at the same time, we've kept that in proportion. We realise there are not enormous groups coming across the border, or not lots of groups. But I would have to say that I'm been impressed, extremely impressed by the approach, not just by the New Zealand troops, but by all troops in my battalion group. And they're determined to get on with the job and make sure that we achieve our aim, which is to secure country of East Timor.
The second trip was good with the comedy tour because we got out into the outlying areas. On the first trip I spent the whole time basically in Dili and Suai, and when we got up into the hills and you can see that it's a very basic third world country, and people's needs weren't great, but those needs they did have weren't being fulfilled until basically people turned up to put them back on their feet again. But it's a great deal of fun. I love flying in helicopters, I love riding a tank.
Those soldiers up there, I mean, they're so caring, so loving. They're there to do a job, and they shared with us something that we're very, very privileged, and us as a team, not just the comedians and Ainsley, but the doco crew who are just as important. We've got something that no one else can experience ever, and I'll take that away with me for the rest of my life. Yeah, those guys are heroes, man.
If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. No, no, there's an answer. If you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. Then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you.
Initially, when New Zealand troops came to these villages, there was no one around, but as you can see, people are now returning and starting to rebuild their lives.
And when we first arrived here, this was pretty much a ghost town, and particularly the villages up in the hills where we are served on Bat 1. When we first moved into the likes of BL, there were 2 people there, and now there's 300-400. There wasn't a house in the Kovalima district with a roof. Now everyone's got iron. So that's the biggest thing I noticed between my 2 rotations.
When we arrived in Dili, one of the first things we did was went into the town centre, and you just didn't see anybody. There was no people around. I mean, I don't know what the population of Dili is now or what it was before, but it should be 100,000 plus, I guess, and there was just nobody there. Like a ghost town.
When I arrived back in '99, it was somewhat a surreal type environment, in that all the people, there was no population in any of the villages or around any of the area where we operated originally. Also, it was just a scene of mass destruction. All the houses, infrastructure, etc., had been totally destroyed.
The villages that were left untouched at the time of the major upheavals in '99 were the ones that were probably sympathetic to the militia cause. Nowadays when you fly around, you certainly note the lot more shiny roofs out there.
Out in the villages, in the outer areas up in the hills and that, we didn't see so much buildings burnt down and what have you, but just the odd one or two still standing, and but still no people. But then when we started to repatriate the refugees from West Timor to East Timor, like they slowly filtered out, but they had nothing, absolutely nothing to go back to. They came across the border, they got given a tarpaulin, a bottle of water, a bag of mace, and the clothes on their back, and they went on their merry way. And that was, you know, a father, his wife, and let's say 3 kids, and that's all they had. So that was a bit surreal, bit of a shock, I suppose. On the first tour we were processing like 1,500 people a day at the junction point, the border crossing there, and they'd stay in Silwai and weren't too keen to go out to the outer villages because they thought they might still be attacked there or what have you. And it's not until they got their confidence up by us patrolling those areas that they actually moved out, to where they originally came from.
When we arrived, there was a lot of destruction. The people wouldn't have any confidence, and they just required a lot of help to do basic day-to-day needs. But now, as we're leaving, just a difference from the last 3 years, to know that we've done a job over here to the best of our ability.
So I'm very happy because now the Indonesian has gone. We're very free, very happy.
I think a lot of the guys go out and spend a lot of time interacting with the local population and basically ensuring that we maintain a civil relationship with the civilian population, and the guys keep focused on the job would be another key consideration.
There was a bit of apprehension when we first came over about meeting a different army, the Indonesian army, and we thought we may have problems, but it's been very good rapport with those peers.
You can't just go out there and hope for the best that you might come across a militia group. You've got to basically be out there patrolling by day. You've got to be developing the confidence of the local people, which we have done over the last 10 months.
From the NZDF perspective, they had also very clear focus. They had a 90% focus on operations on the TCL, on the Tactical Coordination Line. And then they had to build confidence within the community itself that everything is going all right and we will be pulling out of here soon, but to the community they're sort of saying, don't worry, it will be okay, things are now stable, and to show you that, it's peace. There is peace. You must have confidence in your police force and in your fledgling military, and have confidence in your government. So they would help the police. They would set up and coach them through simple things like vehicle checkpoints, and then they would deliver humanitarian assistance as they could, because that's quite a busy list of tasks. So the 10% of the time that would be delivering humanitarian assistance from water supplies, schools. That is the sort of thing that I mean that was beyond what you'd normally expect a battalion to do.
There is no support whatsoever for the militia groups or threat groups in our area of operations. We've had 2 threat groups come through our area, and on both occasions the reason we were able to detect them was because local people told us where they were.
The locals, they're very, very friendly in amongst this area, okay? They provide us a lot of assistance and help, and they're always pleased to see us. One thing about the locals is they work their guts out, and they're always smiling, always happy. And it's a real inspiration to be over here, to be doing this job, and to have the local support like that. And out this way here we got the village of Nanu, which is a really cool village. It's got a volleyball net, and they're really good at playing volleyball. And yeah, we went through there and had a cup of tea with the village leader last night, which was excellent. Yeah, it's a good village to visit, one of the better ones.
We are ensuring that we keep on side with the local people. It's very important that they feel secure. So the overall end state is that we secure the country of East Timor, whilst the other very important pillars of this mission, which is that of humanitarian assistance and the ability to set up local government, local police forces, prison services, judicial system. In other words, the governance component is able to freely continue with that progress towards an independent state. You can only do that if you're maintaining security within the area of operations. So that's what we will continue to secure East Timor.
So we're always working together. Quite often, while the soldiers are out on patrol, they'll run into TNI and it's always a friendly handshake, lots of photos. TNI love photos.
When I first arrived on Bat 3, there was more old men and young children and old ladies. That's it. And there was a major gap in males. Obviously they hotshot town and over the other side, yeah, there was a real major difference.
I didn't think there were many people here, and in fact there weren't. There were a lot of elderly people, hardly any young people. But since then, there's just there's just numbers of young people, teenagers, just little toddlers, heaps. And yeah, there's schools now. I never saw schools when I first got here, so there's been a big change. I think there's been a big change. Yeah.
And under United Nations, and with the participation of the peacekeeping CIPOL, the main goal that we achieved was that we had enough time to calm down, all of us, political parties, society, youth. Of course, there are still some mentality, but in general terms, we could have enough time to reconsider, enough time to think and rethink, building the conditions to a very peaceful democratic elections. Yeah? For me, it is the most important mission of UNDED, of PKF. We don't say interfet. Interfet was to restore. Yeah? But after that, 6 months, maybe 6 months now, after that, started PKF mission. And PKF was not only giving this confidence, but helping also people, and people felt that the friends around the world never forgot them, and in what they can do, they do.
You drive around Suai now, and all the children are wearing school uniforms, bright yellow shirts or bright white shirts, and they're all going to school with books in their hands and pencils, and that's what kids are supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so that's normal. And then on the way home, they get all covered in mud and they play, and again, that's what kids are supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I think that part's good. The country's getting back to what a country should be. It's not like New Zealand or Australia. It's poor and it's simple. But the people are getting on with their lives. The women are having babies and the men are going about raising their crops and all that sort of thing. So it's very good to see.
It's been a good experience. I think anybody that comes up here in the way that we have would have it as a life experience. But certainly some relief, I guess, that we're going home and we've done the job.
There's no doubt. They're certainly looking forward to going home. But I think as a deployment for New Zealand Army, we've done well over here, and we've done our thing. And so yeah, we're leaving the place in better than what we inherited it.
I think I guess my personal, I came here and we visited a school that was just been totally gutted and demolished, and I saw my engineers re-roofing the school. It was originally about 6 rooms, and there was about 3 now habitable because of the New Zealand engineers. Seeing the children there, seeing how keen they were to learn, seeing how enthusiastic they were, seeing how they basically mobbed myself and a few others with us, with their great smiling faces. I had a few kiwi pins, I had a few little trinkety things. That to me was a special moment. And another one was visiting a little orphanage that our people had in Suai here, that they'd taken as a task, I guess, to see. And it was what most New Zealanders would call a hovel. I guess you'd be appalled at the conditions. But when you went inside this little building, it was clean. It was hugely overcrowded with about 20 young children in there and 2 adults looking after them. Now these children had lost their parents. In some cases they'd lost them under very traumatic conditions. They'd seen their parents beheaded. But there they were, rebuilding their lives with the help of New Zealanders. And I was very humbled, and I was very moved by that, to see children, again, just the hope in their eyes, and that hope had been given to them by young New Zealanders, men and women in uniform.
Yeah. I've just come straight out of school. 2 years ago I was into Wellington College, and I never thought that 2 years later I'd be on operations in East Timor, on a mission, actually making a difference to the world. So yeah, it's great opportunities.
This is my first deployment, and so it's my first time in Timor, and I don't know what it was like previously, but it's changed since I've been here, and it's been an experience for me.
How long have you been in the service?
2 years now.
And my overall impressions of the place is that it's coming along. The place is obviously, we can see it's developed since we've been here. The people seem happy, they seem content, you know, they're getting along and doing the business. They're out there getting on with their lives. They're starting to build houses down between here and the FOB base that we go down to. You can see that people are starting to build some houses and just basically getting on with their lives. They're tending to ignore us a bit more, which most probably means that it's time for us to go.
One thing that I will take home is there's the statue up at Sector West where I was working, and it just looked like a big clump of concrete, and it was broken down, and then came back to work a couple of days later, and there was a Kiwi statue there in its place. So I think that's one good thing, or one thing I'll remember about being in Timor. You know, other people's statues been pulled down, our one's been put up. I guess, you know, part of New Zealand being left behind.
Second time was a lot different because I knew what to expect. Having been there, I knew what the area was like at least, and it was good to see all the difference. You know, to see, like, in 3 years, it's quite a lot of difference. I feel there are a lot more people there. The kids in the schools, the roofs, the soldiers on Bat 6 have said themselves, you know, that their jobs hasn't been so much security based as the first battalions that went there, and they've been able to do a lot more humanitarian stuff, which is a really good thing.
I think it's the children going to school wearing school uniforms. I really do, because that indicates that it's normal. And even in the little villages in the hills, they don't have school uniforms up there, but they're going to school, and they've got a pencil and a paper, and they've got some nice young man or woman who's their teacher who sits them at desks and teaches them. And in 99 and 2000, that wasn't happening. And so, yeah, I think that's it. And the work that goes into getting the kids to school is what it's all about, because it means they're not scared to walk down the streets. They're not so hungry that they're out trying to get food. They're not so busy gathering water, so the wells are there, the food is there. They're healthy enough to go to school. And I think that's probably, for me, the single thing that I get the most enjoyment out of, or satisfaction out of.
From a personal side, probably because I've got kids, I've got 2 children, 8 and 10, I look at that group of East Timorese because it's a natural comparison back to my children in New Zealand, and just see the difference in, you know, the obvious difference in their lifestyle, you know, and particularly young girls are the ones which I see have such a hard time here in East Timor. So I've got an 8-year-old daughter. I look at her lifestyle and all the nice things that she does, like ballet and netball and all the things that they take for granted, and then I see a 6 or 7 or an 8-year-old girl walking with a, you know, an 8-litre jerry can of water on her head, going back and forth between a well every day just to get the water for survival, and think, you know, my children just, you know, different environments, but just don't know how lucky they are, you know. No longer will they complain to go down and get the paper from the letterbox anymore. What was your impression of the actual on-the-ground Kiwi troop?
Kiwi troops, this time or just all over?
In general.
In general, in general, it was a really good thing to see. Like, I used to think they were glorified Boy Scouts because I didn't know anything different, and you know, New Zealand troops hadn't been deployed like that since Korean War. When I saw what they did, man, I couldn't believe how much they worked. And you know, the first time we were there, we arrived to do a show, and half of the guys they had to leave because the militia had been spotted, and that was them. They were out in the bush for 3 days. And we saw them again when we got back to Suai, the same guys. They still had the same camo makeup on and just some sweat marks in it like that, and they were on 15 minutes standby 3 days later after sleeping in the bush. And you know, I've got a whole new respect for them, total respect, man. Everybody, it is a team thing, like from the engineers through the guys that are out on patrol to the pilots to the Navy guys that are there offering support. Really is a team thing, and I reckon it's been a really good thing for them that they've got a lot of now real experience, real training. Well, they've had real training, but now they've put that training to real use, and I think it's been a really good thing. I'm really proud of them. I'm passionate about them now.
You got a lasting image?
Lasting image, I think, is. I think the lasting images for me have got to be they're weird things like the platoon huckers, some of the fun things we've done with the soldiers and laughs that we've had that are never going to make it onto this TV program, but those things will stay with me forever. As far as a lasting image of a good thing about East Timor is concerned, meeting and speaking with the president yesterday was just an amazing thing, and he's a very soft-spoken man, but he says some really, really nice stuff, and I think he's like very positive about the future of Timor Leste.
I was in a school in Auckland.
Yeah.
I have a very wonderful conversation. They asked me so many things, and they are helping schools there, here. They are sending material.
Yeah.
It is the kind of relationship that we want to build and that we want to strengthen. And they came, they put here the foundation of this relationship. Now it is you and me to assure the continuation.
The next part of the parade is the flag ceremony. The New Zealand ensign will be lowered to symbolise the departure of the New Zealand Defence Force from Kovalima, and the CONZ-BAT will present the flag to the Minister of Defence. The New Zealand national anthem will accompany the flag lowering. A haka will then be performed, followed by the unfurling of the Thai and Singaporean flags to the playing of the two countries' national anthems. The UN flag will then be lowered and a new UN flag raised. The old UN flag will be brought to the Force Commander by CO3 Squadron and then handed to the Chief of Defence Force. The UN flag lowering and raising will be accompanied to the tune I Vow to Thee My Country. Ladies and gentlemen, could I ask you to stand for the flag ceremony?
As a New Zealander, I am proud that the national commitment has been unwavering throughout the past 3 years, and there is still a great deal of public interest in your progress. And may you rest assured that you have a friend in New Zealand. New Zealand feels comfortable that we have left Timor Leste in a better state than when we arrived.
General salute. Presents up! Shoulder up!
The expectations of the job we were going to do were pretty well fulfilled. It's not a complicated job we have here. In fact, probably the opposite. What it takes here is patience and perseverance to get through, as opposed to aggression or violence or any of that sort of stuff. And again, the New Zealanders here have been so good at that. They're patient, they're calm, they're friendly. They'll go out of their way to pat the kids on the head and give them the time of day. Most of the New Zealanders have learned lots of words in the local languages, and therefore they can communicate to the kids and the people. So again, that's been very good.
Also, from a personal point of view, just having that the old Anzac rivalry spirit, and it's certainly been alive and well in that 3 years that we've been co-located here in Suai. And now the Singaporeans coming in as an extra dimension to it, and we each have a different way of approaching things, a different style, and there's no right and wrong, but we've learnt from it, and from a personal point of view, there's some friendships that I've made here that will go beyond this operation.
What would I take away? I would, it's odd. They are the friendliest people in the world, but they did, to a certain extent, what they did. They didn't do it to themselves, but people from their community did that stuff. And it's just a great reminder of man's inhumanity to man. And on the other side of that, conversely, man's humanity. People have come in and they've helped them out, and they've tried to get them back on their feet and undo the damage that had been done for decades of abuse.
It's not just a 3-year thing, is it?
No, it's not a 3-year thing. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. They've lost so many people. I don't know what 500,000 or more people have disappeared, killed over the last 25 years. And that's a lot of people.
And you can see lots of stuff happening there. They've had their election, they're trying to get a parliament together and a democratic society happening, and it will slowly happen. I'd like to go back in maybe 4 or 5 years. I think it'll be interesting to go back and see again what's happening.
Boys, you've done a good job?
I think they've done a bloody good job. I think we're bloody good peacekeepers. I think we're bloody good at it, especially in the Pacific region. And I think we're good around the world because, I mean, we're lucky enough to live in one of the most stable countries in the world, and to have the opportunity to send people from that country overseas to deploy. I think it helps their countries, and most importantly, I think it helps our country, because people come home and they look at what we've got and they go, yeah, it's not too bad. And with the New Zealand troops, how do you think they did their job over the last 3 years?
Magnificent. There's no other word to describe it. They're outstanding soldiers. Their thorough professionalism shone through every time. And when I say soldiers, let me include, of course, the service men and women of the New Zealand Air Force and the Royal New Zealand Navy, because I saw them all in action and they were simply outstanding.
Do you have a personal memory that strikes you as being the one thing that perhaps sums up the New Zealand effort there?
Well, yeah, when I got to Suai and I could see the New Zealanders out and about with the people, it was the empathy the people so very obviously had with these great big men and women from New Zealand. Given that the Timorese tend to be smaller of stature, just the marvellous empathy between these professional servicemen and women and these quite destitute and needy villages. It was amazing. That and the haka, the first haka, the one that I saw when the first major New Zealand troop element arrived in Dili. They put on a haka which thrilled me to my back teeth. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I said the spirit of the Maori warrior is upon us, New Zealand is here.
You got a good hope for the future for the place?
I have a great optimism about East Timor. It's a fragile democracy, it's a new economy, we need to help them, but they've got now, I think, a great start to a happy future.
You must be very proud of your troops, and what do you think it's done for the Defence Force?
Well, first off, yes, I am extremely proud of them and very humbled to be their Chief of Defence Force. It's only when I visit places like this and other places, the ships at sea, and I see what they are actually doing, I just keep being reminded of the special qualities and calibre that our people have, and they are unique. They wear a uniform not because they're going to get paid a lot of money, because you don't. They do it for a special purpose, and that is to serve their country. And that might sound rather melodramatic, but actually it's true. And you see the mateship, the comradeship that is around here, the team, it's all there. I'm immensely proud of them. And it's sad that many New Zealanders don't actually get to understand what their army and their navy and their air force actually achieve and what they do. Young men and women totally dedicated to what they're doing. And you come here and you see it.
Kiwi soldiers is a good one also, because I have heaps of friends from first battalion up to now.
Gonna miss them when they go home?
Yes, I feel sad. Yeah, some of them getting whipped, especially the CMI Bed 6, Mr. Tom and Jack. He's my good friend also.
I want to say thank you very much for New Zealand, because when Kiwis here, so before we can, very hard to understand,
yeah.
But when Kiwis here, we can, very interesting with Kiwis.
Yeah. You think you will miss the New Zealanders?
Yeah, very miss, because very friendly with us and very friendly with the local also.
Yeah.
So some people when they leave from here, especially for CMI, so they are very friendly with the people. So some get cry because lost some friend.
Yeah.
So they are stay very long time here.
Yeah.
So very miss them.
Yeah.
So at the end of 3 years, we can pull out and say we've done a bloody good job.
A job well done.
Good on you, New Zealand.